If you've ever felt confused about what you should and shouldn't be eating, you're not alone. There's so much information out there. Cut carbs, eat more protein, try keto, don't eat fat. It can become very overwhelming. So in this video, I'm going to break it down very simply for you for what I do and what I've learned through the courses I've taken in the past, and give you the opportunity to make better choices without overcomplicating it. Hi, I'm out on another 3-mile walk again today. We're at Longleat Safari Park and we're at the campsite right next door. And we're filming for our other channel, Life for Touring, which is our travel channel. But today I wanted to talk to you about nutrition. And just to help you understand it a little bit better, and with everything that's out there online, do this diet, do that diet, this is good for you, that's bad for you. I just thought I'd take this opportunity as part of my Healthy Habits series just to explain it as I know it and I understand it. So let's get started. So what I do, in my last video I was talking about using Fitbit and using their food tracker and energy balance. Now, one of the good things about using a calorie count, a food tracker, is many of them have a macronutrient tracker, which is really important, especially if you're doing exercise along with your diet. So what are macronutrients then? Well, macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So what are the percentages then? Well, this is actually percentages of your overall calorie intake for that day. So the advice is that you do between 45 and 65% of your calorie intake, including carbs. So don't go over the 65%. Fats are 25 to 35%, and protein is 10 to 30%. So do you fully understand carbohydrates? All this talk about, oh, don't eat carbs at all, have no carbs in your diet, just eat fats and proteins, do the keto diet. Do you actually understand why? Now, before I start going on about any of this, I am not against keto diets one little bit. However, it's not what I prefer to do. The diet is so strict, and it's always better to speak to a nutritionist for your personal circumstances before you go on to any of the keto diet, or your doctor if you've got any medical conditions. So it's a good job I've had my carbohydrates today, because I'm currently walking up a slight hill. You know me, I find a walk and just go for it. Carbohydrates are the main preferred source of energy for your body. So as you may or may not know, carbohydrates mainly come from foods like breads, pastas, potatoes, fruit and veg, rice, etc., all them kind of things. There are different types of carbohydrates. There's sugars, starches and fibres, and the body breaks these down as useful fuels for energy. If you are interested in this and you've never heard of it before, how to break it down into percentages and what types of carbs, fats and proteins to have, the Eat Well plate on the NHS website is really useful, and you'll be able to find more information on there about the different types of carbs as well. So I'm not going to go into each one too much. So how does the body use carbohydrates then? Well, it stores it as something called glycogen, which is stored in the muscles and the liver. Think of it as your body's quick access fuel tank. So when you do any activity, that's the energy that the body sources, and that comes from carbohydrates. So carbohydrates aren't exactly the enemy as long as you're having the right carbohydrates and in the right amounts. So carbohydrates, if we look at good and bad, so the less helpful carbohydrates are actually the sugary ones. Like if you look at white pasta, white rice, even potatoes can be starchy. And if we don't use that energy, it ends up being stored as sugars and it ends up turning to fat. So it is really important that we choose our carbs, and if we're going to intake carbs, make sure that we burn them off. You can go deeper with this and you can work out how many grams of carbohydrates you need for your activity levels. But I guess that's something for another video because there's a lot of detail to that. So protein It's really good for repairing your muscles and your tissues. It's important that you get the right intake of protein depending on what your activity levels are. So if you're out training harder for longer, you're going to need more protein to help repair the muscles after the training. But there is one caveat to this. You may see people having all these protein shakes and just constantly eating protein enriched foods and because they're in the gym. But if they're not doing the workout that warrants the amount of protein they are intaking, they could be wasting the money on these protein shakes. Some people need them because they are working out to that level, but they should find out how many grams really they should be intaking. And that's something they do for a personal trainer or a nutritionist. Whereas if they don't need it to repair, the body just treats it as waste. So any extra just comes out as waste when you go to the toilet. It just comes out in your pee. Now, good protein options could be things like chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, and some plant-based options like beans. And less healthy options would be like processed meats and really fatty meats. And if you're eating the right proteins, it does help you keep fuller longer. Fats are also essential. They support things like hormones and overall health, but not all fats are the same. Healthy fats that come from nuts, seeds and oils are quite beneficial. But when you start looking at different types of fats, not all of them are as good for you. So when we look at fats, we think about what we can actually eat in terms of fats. Things like avocado, nuts, oily fish, olive oil, they're all really good for us. And if we look at what's not so good, less helpful fats are things like trans fats, because they're heavy processed, or fried foods. Fats are essential for the body, and it's just choosing the right fats. And the other thing about macronutrients, they all have a calorie intake per gram. So if you're intaking carbohydrates, they are 4 calories per 1 gram of carbohydrates. Proteins are also 4 calories per gram. And then when you look at fats are 9 calories per 1 gram. So fats are more calorie dense, so that's why a balance is important, really. I just want to say as well, I am not a nutritionist. I just want to make that disclaimer right now. I have trained as a personal trainer. I have done training on nutrition and macronutrients, and I will only talk about what I know. As I said, if you want more information and you want it personally to you, the best idea is to find yourself a nutritionist. So all this information I'm giving you isn't about telling you to cut foods out. It's about finding the right balance that's right for you and choosing the right foods, especially if you're doing exercise. If you're walking like I am, I do a little bit more intense exercise as well through the week. So it's all about picking what's right for you and getting the balance right. Knowing how many grams of each macronutrient you should be intaking is a bonus. If you wanted to just do this through a tracker like Fitbit, that's great. It's just a guide, it's not 100%. Or you could get yourself a nutritionist and let them work it out for you. But I just prefer just to have the guide so I can keep on track and then I'm not restricting myself too much. So why do people actually choose keto diets then? Well, this is because it keeps the carb level low, and if your glycogen that we talked about earlier is low because you are not eating the carbs to fill the fuel tank up, if you like, then your body will go to your stored fat sources and use that as energy instead. Now, some people use this quite well. I know of a marathon runner, and she was on the keto diet to stop her from having the energy crash while she was running, because if she started off on carbs and she got to a certain point, a carb fuel source, the glycogen, would run low, and then she would have to go into her fat stores, and that is actually a dip for her, and it slowed her down. So if she got used to her body working on fats only, she never had that crash because she was working on the fats as an energy source right from the beginning. Also, you may or may not know that carbs affect a hormone called insulin, which help move sugars from your blood into your cells. When you eat fewer carbs, your insulin levels tend to be lower, which in turn can help the body access fat stores much easier. So it's really important what you choose to do. with your intake of macronutrients, whether you're low carbs, whether you want to do a keto diet, for example. But whatever you do, it's all about consistency and taking that consistent action, because part of the problem with diets is we'll have all good intentions and we'll start a diet and then, or even an exercise plan, and then we end up not sticking to it. And that's why we end up yo-yoing with our weight. So whatever you choose to do, just make sure you stick to it and give it a chance to work, at least until you start seeing results. And it can take up to 3 months, 12 weeks, to see any actual results. So one of the best ways to look at this, if you do want more information, like I said before, is the NHS Eat Well plate. I will put a link in the description to the Eat Well plate. And what that is basically they show you a picture of a plate and they break it down roughly, similar to the percentages that I spoke about before, visually on the plate, and show you the different fats, proteins and carbohydrates, and break them down even further, as I've explained in this video. So if you want a useful tool, head down to the description and click on that link. This is such a lovely walk today. So right near Longleat, we're just on the campsite, just right next to Longleat, and this is just a lovely walk around the area. But this is getting tracked as well on my Fitbit for my 3 mile that I need to do today, and then this will get uploaded towards my virtual miles that I'm doing. So one way of tracking what it is you're actually taking in is through a food diary, and for your activity levels and using the energy balance method that I've spoken to you about before. However, the easiest way for me, like I've said, is Fitbit. There are other trackers out there that track your activity, and there are other food calorie calculators out there as well. But I prefer Fitbit because it's all in one place. And when I put my food into the Fitbit, it tracks it all for me, and it does break it down into macronutrients. Not every single food calorie app does that, but most of them do. I know MyFitnessPal is quite good as well, if you wanted another option. And they just break it down for you so you can see what your calorie intake is and how that's broken down into percentages for the macronutrients, which is your fats, proteins and carbohydrates. Another good thing you can do as well is if you know what you're going to eat through the day, is put it all into your calorie counter at the beginning of the day and see what your intake would be. Putting it in before you have it, even just before you have the meal, if you wanted to. And that would show you what the calorie intake is, what the macronutrients are, and you can see whether you're going over your carbs. People that want to just cut carbs out to lose weight, and if that's the only reason you're doing it, when you start these low carb diets, what you might see in the beginning on the scales that you seem to have lost quite a bit of weight, but that's not actually fat loss, that's weight loss. This is why I teach a tape measure as well. Because when you stop doing as many carbs carry quite a high water percentage. So what you see in the first instance when you are on a really low carb diet is water loss. So that's what you're seeing to start off with, and that's why they look so good and inviting for people that say, I'm on a low carb diet and I've lost all this weight in the first week. It is actually water, it's not actually fat loss. If you're already doing this, or if this is something that you're interested in, drop me a comment, let me know what your thoughts are on it. I love reading your comments and all your stories, I think it's great. Update for you. I have launched my Patreon again, but it's not the same as it was before, so that I don't get overwhelmed with trying to run 2 platforms. Or 3 platforms if you count the other channel. So if you head over to my Patreon right now, I have made the Wheel of Life series, 8 different videos, absolutely free. So if that's something you're interested in, you can head over there now, link is in the description, go check out them 8 Wheel of Life videos. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go over to my Wheel of Life video that I've got on this channel and it will explain more. Just head over there and take a look at them for absolutely free. If you head over there, you will also see that I've got a new tier over there, which is £4.99, and for that you get 1 monthly Q&A live video a month. and also access to my community chat. My vision is that the community chat becomes a place which is safe for women over 40, like myself, to help and support each other. And if you come over and like what you see and download the Patreon app, then it will notify you on your phone or your device when you get a message. So it's a little bit like WhatsApp, really. So head over there, check that out if you're interested. And if you want to become a member, I'd love to have you there. So that's my walk done for today. I've had a lovely walk. We're going to head back to the campsite now. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you got something from it. Please leave me a comment, like the video, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.